Greetings, world! Us hairy game lords have been playing a cooperative game this evening. This, Heroes of Tenefyr, by Broken Mill. What do we think? Find out! Bearded lady, Ov's artwork in it, standard. Check out this cleric. Look at that beard. That is a thing of bearded beauty right there. So you've got a whole load of dungeons. You've got 10 dungeons actually that you need to go through. In each dungeon there are 4 different sort of monsters that you'll fight. And then it's a 1 to 4 player game this, and so there are 4 different characters. As you have just witnessed the beautiful beard of the cleric, there is also Thief. There is a bard who is wonderfully dressed, and a what were you? Barbarian. Did he have a beard?
She
didn't have a beard. So, cooperative game, and I'll let somebody else do a bit more of the explaining, but it is good. What I really liked about this game is the real kind of cooperative feel. So there is no betrayal element in this, and actually, I think we play a lot of kind of semi-co-op games where there is that kind of betrayal mechanism in. So it was really good tonight just to play a game where that wasn't the case and everybody was working together. So yes, as we start to get closer to the boss and those more difficult dungeons, it felt like we worked together better. Initially, when we first started out, it felt like Phil was getting loads of all the decent cards, and we were all a bit like, maybe a cooperative, but it's Phil. But that it all worked out in the end. And of course, here's a smile to say, we won.
So, Hipster King here. Again, really enjoyed this one this evening. It was a really quite a simple game to pick up. You've got your own deck. You've each got your own deck of cards that you start with basically an identical deck other than one card. So you each have 6 basic 1 cards and 6 0 cards, and then you have 1 special card that comes with, so there's your basic 0 and your basic 1. You get those into your deck, you shuffle those, but you also are given, and we've already seen the clerics one, but you get a special card.
Special.
This is the clerics. It doesn't give you any power 0, but what the special ability of the cleric is, if you were to play this card out, is that it allows all the other players to take 2 of their cards and shuffle that they've discarded and shuffle them back into their deck. So it allows them to recycle, as the cleric's good obviously at healing and helping others. Each character had got a sort of standard effect that would be, you know, for those normal sort of D&D type characters. So that's how you start, and you go into your first dungeon and you have to attack one of these guys. So these are the types of cards that you get in the dungeon. You only have 1 that you can see, so you attack your first one. If you're successful at beating the first one, we were playing a 4-player game, so we had to kill this gargoyle with 8 damage. So we had to, between us, from the 3 cards that you draw up into your hand, as you go round, we play our cards and add up the totals, and the 4 of us have to max out at that 8 to be able to defeat the gargoyle. If we defeat the gargoyle, you go to the next one in Dungeon 1. Until you get to the bottom of that dungeon stack. At any point you can choose, once you've defeated a monster, to leave that dungeon, and if you do that you then move 1 place along the tracker. So however, if you aren't able to defeat the baddie in that round, you have to move 2 places and you're forced to leave. And then you have to go back in and start again if you choose to do that. Now, if you are successful in defeating this one, which is an orc that needs 6 to beat, that card goes into your discard pile and then will make its way back into your deck. So this is like a deck building game as well. So over time you start to improve the quality of the cards in your deck. And a number of these then come with their own bonuses. So this one becomes a 1 card but it's got its extra bonus. So you're gradually over time building up the quality of your deck, deciding how much you move down the different dungeons, because obviously the more powerful the dungeon, the more difficult the monster, but the more powerful those bonuses are. Why do you need that? Because in the end game, once you get to the end of the track, you have to go up against the kind of boss baddie set of cards, and there are different ones to choose, which gives us huge replayability. We went in against the Chaos Dragons. There are 4 Chaos Dragons to defeat, and they have growing power. So we started with, I think, the 13, then the 11, then a 13, and then a massive 22 guy. And you have to do that all with the decks of cards that you've got in front of you. Each one of these have got different powers that come at you as well. So you have to build enough power into your deck before you go up against the boss, which makes balancing that do you stay low and build slowly, or try and get up to the top to max out your cards as quickly as you can to go in against the boss baddie at the end. I think we timed it really well, and we just managed to beat that boss baddie at the end.
Yes.
It was a brilliant game. Loved the way it was put together. Lots of cooperation, lots of thinking to be done.
Hey, Governor, Aussie Phil here. Yeah, we were playing Heroes of... It was my best of British, that. Heroes of Tenefyr, and I picked... Oh, where is it? There she is, the Barbarian. And her special skill is, if you are the Barbarian, you may draw 3 extra cards. So that came in damn handy for so many times we were fighting the boss. And there are other cards within the bosses or the baddies you're beating during the dungeons that are specific to a particular character. So what you look for are a couple of the cards, say Teamwork, which allows you to, any player, not just the person who plays it, but any player can put another card into someone else's deck. Andrew, as the thief, was able to utilize his skill quite well, ditch all his basic 0 cards, and was drawing random dungeon baddies to add to his hand. So he had a massive deck of higher value cards. So it is a game that I really like and would like to play it again now that we've got our head around the rules a bit better. Looking forward to... Oh, what's the expansion called?
The Second Curse.
The Second Curse. So, yeah, hopefully we'll get our hands on that and be able to try a round or 2 with that. But thumbs up. 2 thumbs up from me.
Hi, Dave the Grey here, and I've really enjoyed playing Heroes of Tenefyr. It's a really nice, well put together deck builder. I think one of my favourite things about it is, unlike some, the progression from the starting hand that you get that is absolute chaff, basically. You've got half a dozen 1s, half a dozen 0s, and it's really not a lot of good for fighting all but your very basic goblin. And the way that builds up through the different levels of dungeons that you have to go through. So there's 5 levels of dungeon, 2 of each, so you always get a choice of whether you want to progress on to the harder stuff or play through another relatively easy dungeon to build up your deck of cards. And it really does nicely progress you through with getting the bigger and bigger and better cards all the way through. So yeah, really, really well put together in that respect. The artwork, for once, Andrew didn't do masses of stuff on how nice the artwork is, but if you're sort of an old school D&D-er, obviously, yeah, old, I don't remember going to school, it was that long ago. The artwork on these is really, really nice and very evocative of your proper old school dungeon type dragons, goblins, all that kind of thing. Absolutely perfectly done. The other thing with progressing through is you're getting rid of all the 0s and the rubbish cards out of your hand as you go along, but you've still got a limited deck. So every turn, you're picking 3 cards. And if they're rubbish, you can discard them, pick another 3, and hope that you get your better cards through. But you've only got that limited deck of cards to play the entire dungeon. So there's half a dozen monsters in the dungeon. You don't want to burn through 6, 7, 8, 9 cards to get the good ones on the first couple of monsters. So you do have to be a bit careful on, do you play your fairly basic cards and hope that somebody else is kind of come up with the goods later on around the group, because everybody only gets to play 3 cards? Or do you burn your cards initially to try and get those big monsters, get the loot, get out of the dungeon, and away you go? But at the end of each dungeon, you've also got a rewards card. So generally, you'll have a choice of 2 rewards. Usually, you can discard a card permanently from your deck, so you can get rid of those noughts, those ones, or you can get something cool for either the group, or one person can get a more advanced card sort of early and introduce that into their deck. So there's quite a lot of thought, and I think quite a lot of replayability to this game as well. So, but I can see this is actually one that I would really enjoy coming back to as well. We beat it this time. I've got a feeling we might have lucked out a little bit, but definitely one with some replayability, and really looking forward to playing it again with all the extra stuff. So double thumbs up from me. Watch out for the next video on the expansion.
That too. But that's a different video.
It was this big. And yeah, let's get it out again.
Stop slapping your legs on tonight.
Hi.
Hi.
And Pete has a self-control issue that he is trying to deal with. Hi, Dave the Great.
Got a new one for me. I think it's better than mine.
They're really well put together.
Didn't do anything. I was fun. There. I'm rubbing something.
Hi.